The Creative Collective is a networking group for creative businesses. And this is their podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to another peer-to-peer support group or mastermind session, whatever you want to call it. But today is all about how we can use AI in our businesses without, that's the crucial word, I think, without losing our creativity. So who wants to start?
Yeah, I'll
Go
say. So I was at an FSB boot camp last week where one of the big topics of conversation was AI, of course. And one of the presenters asked us to sort of have a little chat on our tables about how we were using AI. And the people on my table were not the most tech savvy people really and weren't really doing a lot. But something that I mentioned, and I was sitting next to Steve from WebCetra, he was there. So obviously he was a bit more tech savvy than everyone else there. But what I shared was something that he hasn't done before and he thought would be a good idea. So when I write a blog, I'll sometimes use ChatGPT to get some ideas of what I might write about, but I always write my own stuff. But what I do use it for, once I've written my blog, is then I put it back into GPT and say, this is my blog post. Can you please now shorten it to, I forget the number of characters that can go on Google My Business? And it shortens it down for me. And that saves so much effort because I used to have to do it myself and like, oh, I'll cut this out and cut that out. And, oh, it's still not quite the number of characters that I need. But it does it in like seconds and, read it through and yep, usually that's all right, bang it straight onto Google My Business. So that's the way to use it where you've already been creative, you've done the creative thing, but you can just use it to adapt it for, another audience.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you're repurposing essentially. Something that would take half an hour to an hour takes literally seconds.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love that. That's a great starting point. Yeah. Anybody else got anything to add to that or want to talk about what they do in their business?
I've got one that is TCC specific. So after the meetings, when I download the chat file from Zoom, and what I used to do was manually go through it, taking out all of the junk and formatting it so that it was all clear in a Word document. And now I have a prompt in Copilot I use. I just think it looks nicer than ChatGPT. Whether it does anything that different, I don't know. And it takes probably now, because it only accepts a certain amount of characters at a time, 15 minutes, whereas before it could take a couple of hours. So it's, for me, I'm using it a lot for just to be very efficient, I think, because, and I double check it just to make sure it's grabbed everyone that it should have grabbed. But yeah, it's the afternoon after Creative Collective meetings now are no longer daunting. I used to hate that job.
Yeah, especially as no one reads them.
How dare you?
Waste of time, isn't it? Yeah. Keith.
I think there's a lot to do with terminology and what you actually mean, because a lot of when people talk about AI and they think about it as creating text or creating images, but a lot of this is automation that Martin had just talked about, and AI doesn't have to be just creating content. It can be making our lives easier, like that example of automation. Because I've got an example. I've complained before about I subscribe to too many newsletters and it takes too much time. And I found a tool now that I've signed up, and it gives me an email address and I can subscribe to newsletters. I've cancelled my old subscription, subscribe to the newsletters with the new email address, and then all the newsletters arrive in this new inbox, and I can create an AI summary of each one, so I don't have to read the whole newsletter. And if I wanted to, it can create me a podcast based on all of my newsletters every day, so it will read through them. And if I don't want to do this, but if you wanted to, you could have a podcast which contains a summary of all your newsletters every day. It gives you recommendations for other newsletters you might like based on the newsletters you subscribe to. And it's amazing. It saves me so much time because I just click on the magic wand button to give me a summary of each newsletter rather than having to wade through every newsletter. And if the summary contains something I like the look of, I'll go and read that bit of the newsletter. But yeah, that's I'm quite chuffed with myself having found this tool. It's making my life much easier,
Hmm.
and it's just a different way to use AI.
When you say it produces a podcast, as in it summarizes, transcribes, and then what is an AI voiceover that does the podcast, or does it just what's the format of the podcast?
I don't know because I haven't done it, but I presume it summarizes the podcast and turns it into a voice,
Yeah,
a file that you can listen to, basically,
yeah.
which contains it. Whereas I'm just reading the summary of the newsletters. It would create me something I could listen to, and that would create, or that would be a summary of the newsletters that I've
Mm,
subscribed to using this tool. So depending on whether you want to read it or listen to it, it will give you the information in whatever form you want it.
got it. It's a bit like if you're, for instance, on the Guardian app, you can listen to any article you want, and I mean, essentially, it's AI. It's not the most, uh, yeah, not the most entertaining listen, but in terms of accessibility, it's very good because it means everybody has access to it. So I suppose it's the same kind of technology as that, I presume.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I like that. Yeah, automation. Yeah, I think you're right, Keith. I think lots of people that don't know anything about AI just think AI, it will just, and then in their mind's eye, they see robots taking over the world. But actually, it's about automation and speeding stuff up, isn't it? And you've popped a link in there. Thank you, mate. Jude, you've taken yourself off mute. So is that your way of saying you next?
Um, so yeah, so I between the two of us, I am less like happy using AI. But Chris is using it quite efficiently at the moment. We've talked before about the fact he uses it to speed up coding, which I'm fine with because he's not taking anyone's work away from them doing that. It's just making his own work quicker. Apart from when ChatGPT has its days where it doesn't want to play nicely. But also recently, like Keith obviously just said, a lot of people think about using it for the images, and it's not just what you use it for. But we've had a client come across to us from another company who we've had dealings with before. They don't offer nice support, and then they're even more horrible when it comes to someone wanting to move away from them, and make it as hard as possible for them to go somewhere else. And she had paid for stock photos on her old website. She wanted to use them again because she had paid for the time for him to source these photos and pay for the photos as part of her project. But he would not hand over the license to her. So she couldn't use any of these photos on her new site. And Chris has done a brilliant job. I mean, he hasn't like done it himself, but of getting AI photos that have very much the same look and feel and correspond to the copy and everything in a really nice way using AI. Which, I mean, I have an issue with that in some ways because I think, but there's a photographer out there who's now not getting paid for photos. But equally, in that instance, I feel a little bit like, well, she did pay for photos. She did try and do it the right way the first time, and she's been stitched up a little bit. And I have been impressed by what has been created with AI to kind of, yeah, to help her out in that situation. I feel like that is a help her out situation, so I'm kind of okay with it. But yeah, I have no problem with using it like Keith just said and how Martin's using it. That makes all absolute sense. But there are still moments where I'm like, am I happy with this? I don't
Mm.
know. But yeah, but it is helpful and you've kind of got to admit that it is. So yeah.
Well, I think we'll definitely come to the negative sides because there undoubtedly is for potentially for all of us. But yeah, so what software was Chris using to sort of take existing photos and then making them AI but lifelike?
You know, the big picture one that was the first one out for pictures, and the name has just gone out of my head at the moment, and I feel it begins with an M.
Is it Mid-Journey?
Thank you, Keith. There we go. That's the one. Yeah, a Mid-Journey it has improved massively.
Yeah.
And again, which is a concern, like you said, we can talk about the negatives. But I mean, and these are all photos of foods and like kitchens set up with a recipe book and things like that. These aren't people, and obviously we know that's often where these fall down. And it's done a brilliant job.
Mm.
Sad.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just going to give another example. It's kind of sort of linked to what Keith was talking about. I've got a client whose podcast I edit, and historically, what she would do, I would edit it, I would send it to her, and she would listen through, make some notes on what she wanted to put on her website, the key messages and the resources, and what she could post on social media, that sort of thing. And it would take her a couple of hours to do that job, because obviously she has to listen all the way through, pick out the best bits, whatever. And now what we've done, she's got a subscription with Otter.ai, which I'm sure some of you have heard of for meeting summaries and that sort of thing. So you can upload the audio into there, it transcribes it, takes about 7 or 8 minutes for an hour-long file, and then you can ask the AI bot on their questions. So she no longer has to listen to the episode once I've edited it. I just load it into Otter, ask it the same questions for the stuff that she wants. I've got 4 or 5 different prompts, and it just churns out everything that she needs from it, whether it's as good as what she used to do from listening, because she knows exactly what she wants from that. Sorry, Stuart's just turned up. But it's saving her maybe 7 or 8 hours a month, which is a day, and there was no one else doing that work other than her, so she's just freed up her own time. Just another, like what we've been saying, another massive efficiency gain.
Yeah. Morning, Stuart.
Hi there. Sorry I'm a bit late.
No worries. Just to catch you up, we've just been going around the room just to see how we are using AI or sort of automation software at the moment, just to speed things up. And the positives, I'll probably get to the negatives too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just going around the room just to see how we're using it at the moment, really.
Yeah.
And then whenever you want to chime in, come in. But Liz.
Cheers.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share something with you. A chap that I've been talking to recently, had a couple of one-to-ones with him. So he's in video production, and he does a lot of things like filming people who are doing like in-vision training. So they're standing in front of their PowerPoint and they're talking, blah 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 blah. What he started doing is creating avatars to do that, but the avatars are the real people. So he will film them. He needs about half an hour, he says, of them talking to camera. They're not actually going to use the whatever the audio. They're just using the person, and then he can create a really quite lifelike avatar that can then do their training courses, and they don't need to be filmed again and again and again. But what he's also then looking at doing is having a bank of avatars, but he's still going to use real voiceover artists. So I thought that was interesting, because he doesn't think the AI can do the voice as well as a real person. So it will be a real person's voice onto an avatar that has been created using a real person. So it's kind of a hybrid of AI, but I quite like the way that he's doing that.
That's really
go on, Whiskers.
I was just going to say that's really interesting from an audio/video perspective, that he thinks that voice isn't good enough AI, but the visual is.
Yeah.
So and my first thought there was that I hope that it's still picking up all the visual cues a person might give by like a little nod and a wink or a shoulder shrug, that sort of thing, because there's still visual cues, isn't there, to pick up on. So I'll be interested to see that.
Yeah.
Well, Liz, I would second that. When you if you get anything from him in terms of if you've either voiced a video or he's got a website or anything, do share, because it would be, I would echo that. It would be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it's it's early days yet. He's just sort of started experimenting with it, but I thought it was an interesting kind of take on it, really.
Yeah. I mean, it could, if it's done well, it could save the client a lot of money. And potentially, as the video producer, you would be looking at more volume and less video less budget per video, but more videos.
Yeah.
So interesting model.
We know someone who has had an avatar created of himself, I'm assuming in a very similar way to that. And we've seen, so he's put some of it on social media, and it's weird. Like, it does look like him, but it looks like an overly polished version of him, and a bit kind of slightly freaky. Like, maybe you're having a weird dream about it. I don't know. It's not quite right. And I don't even know him well, and I know it's not quite right. And so yeah, it will be interesting to see how that develops. At the moment, I think it looks odd. So
Yeah.
that was using his own voice.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Keith has just turned into his own avatar. Why that works is because that's clearly a cartoon,
Mhm.
and I think
Is it?
yeah, clearly.
I didn't
Look,
notice it changed.
look at the hairline, Liz. Sorry, Keith. As and I can I feel I can say that because look at the shininess of my head. But yeah, I think if AI as it stands, if it's going for realistic, it has got that kind of weird. Yeah, you can't quite put your finger on it. It's
Yeah, yeah.
odd. Whereas AI as an avatar, maybe a cartoon avatar, that would probably work really well because it's so far away from being realistic. So but obviously that everything's going to improve like week on week on week, isn't it? So it will be interesting to see what happens. Um, Keith's back. I prefer this version of Keith.
Could I just say the hairline's not that far off?
No, no, it's not actually. Actually, it's not. It's not. Um, oh yeah, I'm looking at it now. No, you've actually got quite a nice hairline. Yeah, very neat. Anyway,
It's interesting what you said about the kind of AI and it being a bit perfect at times. A bit unrealistically perfect, so it's not human. I was thinking my uncle's actually just put together an album of his pieces that he's been a guitarist for his life. He's a really good guitarist, but he's put something together with AI kind of backing and music. And although it's quite good, like he spent a lot of time on it, it sounds too perfect. It's like, yeah. So I think that applies to lots of different things in terms of AI use.
Yeah, I think it's the same with the voiceover thing. Yeah, I've had this conversation with e-learning clients where they've tried using an AI voice and they've gone back to using real people because people are listening to it and thinking, there's just something not quite right about this. I don't know what it is, but not quite right. Is that an AI voice? Is that a real person? Oh, I think you just mispronounced that. And they haven't actually taken in the information they were supposed to be listening to. They spent
yeah,
all the time trying to determine whether it's an AI voice or not. And I think it is too perfect because as humans, we never say the same thing exactly the same way twice, whereas an AI would, because that's how it's sort of been programmed. So yeah, I know what
It's
you
the same thing with writing and grammar. Like, it gets
mean.
everything potentially absolutely
Spot on.
right. But that's not really how people write generally.
No.
Stuart, you're a good person. Kat obviously also does copywriting as well,
Yeah.
but got a camera off at the moment. So as it stands, the only writer in the room that can talk. How do you use it, and has it affected you so far? Because I think when people start thinking about AI, copywriting, content writing is
Yeah.
one thing that they often think about in terms of
Yeah.
the impact it could have. So
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
do you use it in terms of software?
Yes, I do. I do use it. I don't. I don't get it to write things necessarily. But like if I'm right, been writing for Automate UK for a long time, and obviously it's really quite technical, a lot of the things. So what I find it useful for is coming up with the outlines and giving suggestions and things, which saves me time in terms of research. So I do find that sometimes if I'm using it a fair amount, that my writing can end up a bit like the AI. That's a bit of a danger, like, maybe it kind of loses a bit of that kind of personality. And yeah, I'm always kind of asked about AI and its impact on. I don't know. I think there's regular kind of writing opportunities coming up. I don't think there's a lack of writing opportunities and a lack of people looking for human content of all types. So I don't know how much impact it's had, and interested to.
I think time will tell, won't it? But I actually think we're in the moment, and it potentially I think will go even further, where people people will be so aware of AI and it will be so obvious potentially that these AI photos and images are that people will crave the human side of things. And I don't think that we'll ever come away from that. Maybe that's
Yeah.
me being a bit too positive about it, but
Yeah.
I think there'll always be.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's useful if you're not quite sure how to structure something. So I was creating some case studies a little while ago, and I wasn't really sure what should go in there or what order it should go in. And I just asked ChatGPT that this is what I want to write a case study about. What do you suggest? And it came up with a format, and put this picture here, that picture there, talk about this here, that, and that was really good. On the other hand, the other week, our local church was running a scarecrow trail, and I was responsible for creating the map of where the scarecrows were going to be. So I thought, oh, let's see if AI can help me do this, because it's such a pain in the ass doing this bloody map. So I asked, like, can you help me with this? I need to make this map. I need to have this information on it, and it went through and like asked me all these questions. Like, right, where are the scarecrows? So I gave it the addresses, and it's like, and what time you're starting, and what other information, and how are people because there was going to be a voting form on it, and what format do you want that to be in? And I gave it this all information. It said, right, would you like me to create the map? I'm like, yes. And it went, I can't do that. What?
After all that.
After all that, yeah. So I still ended up having to like print a map off of somewhere and manually plot with bloody scarecrows on. So hey.
Ben, I'm just thinking about things like touching up photos and things like that. Is there anything that you use that has changed your creative process?
So the big one, or video, for instance, the big one, huge one, like the biggest change in my editing in probably 5 to 7 years has been, and it's not that new, but it's got really, really good now, to the point where it just saves so much time. Is you get the transcription and you can actually edit via that transcription. So, for instance, if you've got, and I'm just before coming on the call, I was doing this. So, had 10 talking heads to go through. Now, always used to be that if someone was chatting for 15 minutes, you literally had to watch 15 minutes and get all the sound bites together. Now you transcribe the whole thing, read through, that's good, put it on the timeline. That's good, put it on the timeline. And that I mean, it saves so many hours. It's ridiculous. But the lovely thing about that is, because you're getting the talking heads done quicker, the whole quality of the video improves, because you're no longer against it in terms of deadlines, and you've actually just got more sort of creative energy to do the creative stuff. So I would be a complete hypocrite if I was anti-AI. I can't be, because it saves me so much time just in that alone. Um, and yeah, so that's the big one. And sorry to interrupt, but even the audio. So these talking heads, there was a digger on the beach, because there was a beach in the background. One click of a button just gets rid of all the noise, and it's crystal clear apart from the audio. Now, again, that would have taken me hours probably just to go through that. So yeah, just those two things alone is massive.
And the first one with like using the transcript for editing, that's kind of the same process. It's still you choosing which bits are the best bits to pull out. You're just using a quicker method.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And but I think that's only going to improve as well. I don't think we're that far away from. This happens in photography. It has happened in photography over the last probably 6 months to a year, where wedding photographers, for instance, has everyone heard of Lightroom, the software, Lightroom? So there's a software called, I think it's called Imagine AI. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but essentially it's a plugin for Lightroom, and you submit 5,000, I think minimum of 5,000 photos. So the software learns the editing style. And then if you're doing a wedding, for instance, you say, right, this is the preset, and it's done. Now, of course, you're still going to need to tweak that because of different lighting conditions, but it starts you something that would take probably a whole day. You can probably do in about half an hour, that first edit. And I think we're not that far away from doing that in a video, in terms of, right, these are my styles of video. Here's 20 of them. Plug into DaVinci Resolve, which is a software. Give me a first cut, an assembly cut of what the video could look like. Don't know. Not sure. That there's slightly more involved, but I don't think we're that far away from that. Alex,
Are we at the negative yet?
I think we yeah. Oh, you're itching. You're itching.
I don't use it at all.
Okay,
So
let's go. We're about halfway through our six, so I think whatever
yeah,
happens will balance.
I don't want to shortcut anybody, but I got a 1-to-1 too, so I got to run. But yeah, I don't know if I'm just old or what, but I refuse. I refuse it on all fronts. I even put minus AI when I do a Google search
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
don't want it. I don't want a
Okay.
robot telling me anything. I just don't trust it. And I signed up for my craft because of the time it takes. I love it. And I mean, I'm a musician, so I don't know. I wouldn't even know how to use, I don't know what chat BGT is. I don't even know how it works. I don't even know how to find. I say I use AI. I use Alex Intelligence
Yeah.
because I just don't. I'm just old. I'm just old.
Firstly, I love the fact we've got a different perspective. I think that's really important, and the fact that you obviously we spent half an hour talking about the positives, and we were always going to talk about the potential negatives. I wouldn't. Yeah, you're not old, Alex, by the way. Keith, you put your hand up just to sort of come back on that.
I was just going to ask Alex, would you use it, for example, how I'm using it to summarize newsletters and be able to read more information about music and read more music newsletters and get some. So you're not creating anything, you're not using it like that, but you could find out more about different types of music because you could summarize the newsletters you're interested in.
Well, I don't read any newsletters except for TCC.
Nice.
But
The right answer.
Good save.
but no, I'm just really resistant to it. I'm not saying I'm right, but I just have that I don't know that as soon as it started when Pandora came out. And I remember my wife's uncle saying to me, he was trying to explain to me what Pandora was. And he used the term, it takes your musical DNA. And I immediately said, fuck that. Because I can't even track my musical DNA. I can't track what I like to listen to. How's a robot going to tell me what I like to listen to? And I just have that ornery kind of resistance to it. So
But
I'm
is
sure
there?
I would like to see it. I would like to see it being applied to medical stuff. I would like to see it being applied to, you hear of creatives talking about this all the time. Can we get the AI to do my laundry? Like why is it being used to create stuff that people already create? So, and I don't feel about it that strongly. I get that there's a place for it, and I appreciate what everybody's saying. I don't think I'm right. I just I just have a personal resistance to it.
Hmm. Do you not so the first 10 or 15 minutes of this conversation, we were talking about AI in terms of automation, just speeding things up to making our lives a bit easier. I think that's slightly different to software that is creating sort of on the creative side, which actually bypasses us. I think maybe they're two different things. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, and I that's why I really appreciate hearing about it because I don't know too much about it.
Mhm.
Um, I wouldn't even know what to apply it to in my craft. So, but I get it. I get when someone doesn't have 7 or 8 hours to listen to something. I think that makes perfect sense to use if you can use a tool.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be the guy who's still rubbing two sticks together, trying to start a fire, and everybody else has a lighter.
But Alex, you're not alone in this. There are lots of certain creatives that have this approach to how to think about AI as well. It's not just you.
Well, it's funny because people will walk past me when I'm performing at the airport or something. And they'll go, "Oh, it's a real person," and I'll say, "No, I'm AI. I'm actually not a real person. This is digital." So,
Yeah. One day.
but
Yeah.
yeah. So, and again, I'm not trying to. I really, everybody's using it. That's great.
I think there's maybe an issue with it. It's hard to escape it. Wherever you go, where you do Google search and it comes up, and it's like
Yeah.
it's constantly kind of pushed.
Yeah.
And people don't want that. It can get a bit much.
I'm with you as well, Alex. As much as Chris uses it in our business, if he didn't, I wouldn't be. Like, I don't use it. I feel like we should be using our brains. I wonder why we're trying to do everything faster than we can do it, and why can't we just slow down and just live life at the pace that our bodies allow us to live life and our eyes allow us to read things. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm the most tech adverse person who works within a tech in like industry I think there is out there. It's Chris's fault. But yes, I'm right there with you, Alex.
Yeah. The trouble is with that, Jude, is that if everybody had your attitude, it would be perfect
Yeah, I
because
know.
everybody
They
would be on the
should.
same wavelength. But where there's so many people are wanting to do things quicker,
Yeah.
that's when it gets difficult, doesn't
I
it?
let Chris do things quickly. This is why there needs to be two of us in our business.
Absolutely.
And I just do it at a nice chill pace.
Jude pace, we'll call it.
Yes. Which is just used to be normal pace. But yeah.
Um,
I definitely fit in with that pace, Jude. That's
yeah.
good
Sure.
I
approach.
think we need to start a revolution and
Oh,
bring
love that.
back normal speed of doing things.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you might not have to, because if you watch the news, they talk about this AI bubble that's going on, and people are getting very excited, and there's CEOs on earnings calls talking about how to use AI, and at the minute it's almost getting to the point where CEOs have to talk about AI because everybody's doing it.
Mm.
But if you look at the details, how are companies using AI? Is it helping? Are they just spending lots of money on it, or is it bringing a return?
True.
And there's a big debate at the minute about this AI bubble being bigger than the dot-com bubble, because that all came crashing down. Is the AI bubble because everybody can you say to somebody, why are you using AI? Because my competitors are using AI, but nobody's figured out a useful way to use it. They're just using it because they think they have to. And where's that going to lead to?
Yeah. Yeah. I do think there's some. I'm with Stuart actually, and Alex on in terms of, and Jude in terms of that AI fatigue. It literally is everywhere. You put it in anything, and can AI help with this? And you've just got to dismiss it because yeah, you got to yeah, you got to pick your battles, I think, don't you? But Alex, welcome by the way.
Hello.
You've missed a cracking conversation, but we were talking about how we use AI in our businesses, more on the automation and software side of things rather than taking away creativity.
Yeah.
And Alex brought some really nice balance to say he doesn't use it at all, and he's quite happy not using it, which is awesome. And I think that's within yeah. I know you've missed about half an hour, but that's pretty much what we've been chatting about. So,
Cool. I mean, from following, can I come in on that?
go on,
'Cause
Alex.
kind of, yeah, I got in on the thing. I think it's basically what I've worked out is AI technically has been around for a very long time. It's only just been categorized and it's been given a name. Realistically, really, it's software development. That's all it is. It's no different. It's just how certain processes are being done. Like, it was always happening in the background. We're just more aware about it. Like, there's so many algorithms. Like, technically Google itself, before the label AI came out, was an AI, because it was finding and researching all of the tools naturally to find and give you the answers that you're looking for. It just didn't have a little summary bubble at the top of it. It just gave you the best websites because it categorized it. It's the same thing. It just happens to have a bit more of a face on it now. And I think because we've labeled it, it's become more of a trend and a worry, because it's been given a name. Realistically, if like anyone gets, like, when a president changes, for example, you may not have known about them that much before until they get the status, because everybody's then talking about that person because they've been given the opportunity. So realistically, I don't actually think a lot has changed. It's just because we're now aware about it, and then how we then incorporate that and use it, because we're aware about it, is then different. Like, everyone's got AI on their phones that they don't know about. Like, it's everywhere naturally before, like I say, before it was labeled and made aware. So I think it's now we're being given that choice to avoid it rather than actually it happening around us.
I would agree with you in terms of AI has always, well, not always been there, but been here for a long time in terms of maybe automation and software. but I think there is a huge shift in the creative what image making, I think, is the big change. Um, what's happening. Jude earlier on before you came on was talking about Midjourney, about how Chris was taking original photos and basically repurposing them to make them look very lifelike for a business that he was working
Yeah.
with. Now he probably wouldn't have been able to do that 2 years ago without it looking like a sack of shit.
Oh
Um,
yeah, definitely.
so now, I mean, I think it's probably on the website, Jude, and it's looking really nice. So that's where I think the big change is. I think you're right in terms of automation has been there for a number of years, and it was just the early adopters getting in early. But now
Yeah.
it's so mainstream, and what people can do with images now, I think is
Yeah.
huge.
I think it's the scary, I don't know if anybody else feels like it. The scary thing is it's the same with any technological development. Like it wasn't technically that long ago before we had mobile phones. And the
Right.
uproar of that, like with people going, oh, it's going to take over and stuff, like, and then like obviously internet and laptops and computers and all of that, it's all the same. We're just getting more into software than we are physical. Like it way back when we were from horse and carriage up to cars and vehicles to planes and trains. Like it's still unfortunately we're a race that just is never happy with how we are, so always look for improvement to get better. Like Jude was saying, we want to get faster. Why we need go faster stripes and everything, I don't know. Because again, I quite like my duvet days with my cup of coffee and calm down and having a chill one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we as a race are built to do better than anyone, which is, I guess, why we've dominated the planet.
Yeah. Yes. God, that's getting very deep, isn't it? Go on, Keith.
No, it's also the rate of change now is quicker than anything anybody's ever seen before with the rate that technology, AI, whatever you call it, is developing. And yeah, trying to keep up to date with you could think you've got the hang of it at breakfast time. By lunchtime or by tea time, there's been new versions of this, that, and the other, and it's a full-time job. I mean, I'm in IT. This is what I do, and I can't keep up with all the developments. And so, how anybody with less of an interest who has a normal job is supposed to keep up with it all is just mind-blowing.
Yeah. I was shooting an event last week, and there was a chat on AI, and this won't be accurate um, in terms of exactly what she said, but essentially she was saying that technology is moving so fast now that it would be 10 years ago, um, what was happening in a year is now happening in 2 days nowadays, just because of how quickly and the whole thing about AI, large language platforms and all that, they're learning literally every single day. So it's just snowballing every single day. So there's no, where does it end? But yeah, who knows on that one. Hmm. Alex, good to see you, mate. Good. All right. So we've probably got about 8 minutes now. It's just rolled on to 42. 8 minutes before we talk about tasks from the last month. Anybody got any thoughts? Any further thoughts?
I think it's just interesting what counts as AI. It's almost what's come out of the discussion so is automation and creation
I
and
think
two
you're
different
right.
sides of it, and
But it's
they're
all under the
completely
one
different.
umbrella. That's the trouble, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the automation can be useful for creatives, but the creative side of things that's harder for creatives, obviously, because there's people still want a human element in things.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Liz, did you have?
Yeah, just a little funny thing. So someone that I go networking with had posted them on LinkedIn and asked people for comments on it. And what she'd done was she'd just gone into Chat GPT and asked it to sum her up in one word, and she'd posted about that. And I thought, oh, that's an interesting idea. So I did that literally just before I came on this call this morning. And the word it came up with for me was authentic. I thought, isn't that interesting that an AI has come up with the word authentic for me? Anyway, I've just written about that on LinkedIn. So if anyone's got 2 minutes, go and have a look at what I posted about that.
No,
Nice.
amazing. Yeah. Go on, Whiskers.
I was just trying to think of anything that I use AI for that has changed a creative process that I have. And I don't do it every time, but if like I did a piece of poetry or recorded a piece of poetry for someone a few weeks ago, and there was bits of Latin sort of throughout it. So obviously I had to get those translated to try and work out what I was talking about. But I used it to decipher the meaning behind the poem because it was just words that I could not that I didn't understand the words, I didn't understand the meaning behind them. It was seemingly just random sentences together. So I used that to help me sort of analyze it and decipher some meaning behind it before starting to record. But I wouldn't do that, for example, on a commercial script where it's probably a bit easier to work out by myself what they're actually trying to say. You know, buy this hammer or whatever. But yeah, it's again, it's another thing that was to help me, not to change my actual creative work.
Yeah,
There
see, I
was
have used it for changing my creative work. Is that bad?
what's that?
I have used AI to change my creative work
But that's what I want
process.
to find out about. So yeah.
Okay, so we've got 6 minutes. So so keep it, if you can, keep it reasonably brief, Alex, and then we'll go to Keith because he had his hand up. But I'd love to hear how it has changed your creative work.
So I've got clients, obviously green screen, style live production clients. So AI to create backdrop sets, like Jude was saying, Mid-Journey and stuff like that. You can use to create different things. It's a massive process for me when I've got imagery going out alongside videos instead of me having to edit photos. Now I get AI to change and bulk edit because I want to do the video editing and do that. So the add-on process, basically, AI will help me clean up any overshot images or stuff like that. And a lot of transcription and caption editing. To be honest, AI helps me do that. And there's caption editing where it also comes up with image suggestions for overlay as well for what people are talking about. And that's really helpful for the fast-paced content that goes out there. So for me, because everybody is posting content, I need to keep up with that edit stream. If I'm physically doing everything, it takes longer. Therefore, I can't get my clients the short form content as quickly as they want. And yeah, Artlist as well has got a new AI companion tool.
Artlist is pushing big on Sora 2 at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've used that, and I don't know if anybody's heard of Sora.
I tried and I can't get on with it yet.
Okay. It's going to be an interesting 6 months to a year, I think, with video. I would sort of push back on that slightly, Alex, because I think a lot of what you said there, maybe not all of it, but a lot of it is just you're still in charge of the creativity. You're still choosing to put certain things in your project or not, and you're still so I just think it's a good assistant, really. And you've got a assistant beside you saying, what about this? What about this? And you're still producing it. So yeah, which is what Whiskers was saying a bit earlier.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. I do think we probably need a TCC videographers catch up about AI every 2 weeks just to see because I think it's affecting us.
Every couple of hours, Ben.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
What's changed since our last meeting this morning?
Yeah, that's true. It's probably all changed since 11 when we logged on, but
Have any of you hit the AI companion on Zoom yet? No, I want to know what it does. Shall I click it? I know Keith was about to say something. I'm going to click it.
Go on, Keith. Take us home, mate.
Well, hopefully this is another useful tip that came out of a chat I was having with Flea the other day about SEO and just how it's important to remember lots of people now are using the AI platforms as search engines. They're moving away from Google. And so we were chatting about it and Flea just typed in, can I find a photographer near me in Tunbridge Wells, I think it was, and see what comes up. And in principle, you could have a chat with Chat GPT and tell it all about you and what you do. So if somebody asks for what you do, Chat GPT is aware of what you do, and you might come up in the answers, basically. So just tell Chat GPT what, because it's gaining, like more people are using it than Google. So
It depends on how you've trained your chat GPT though, because when Chris asked for a recommendation of a web company that does brilliant websites for small business owners, it first person that recommended was Ready Steady Websites to Chris. He asked Andrew Laws to ask the same question to ChatGPT. Ready Steady Websites did not feature at all until Andrew said, I've heard good things about Ready Steady Websites. Have you heard about them? And then it said, oh yes, Ready Steady Websites have a really good reputation. So but you can do things obviously to get yourself found on ChatGPT. Chris was saying that if you rank well on Bing, you're more likely to appear on ChatGPT. If you are using a Google business profile, things like that. But yeah, no, you can't tell your ChatGPT all about yourself and expect it to turn up on someone else's.
But there'll be the link because Microsoft have a link with OpenAI, don't they? So if
Yeah.
people are using Claude or Gemini, the Google one, and you rank well on Google, so there might be a link between the search engines and the
It comes
platforms.
down to your, correct me if I'm wrong, but it comes down to your online SEO as well. So I've been working with an SEO guy at the moment. And if, for example, if you do a blog of the top 10 web agencies in your local area, put you at number one, that tells AI that you are number one. Like you can actually train AI by doing the typical SEO stuff you would have done to tell Google that you're better than everyone else. So it's kind of actually, don't stop doing that.
But then to real people, how much of an idiot do you look if you've written a blog post about the 10 best web agencies and you put yourself at number one? They
Well, you
might
could change the
have found you, but they're
title
not going to
slightly.
work with you because they think you're such an arrogant idiot. But you know, I mean,
Top 10 videographers in Kent. Number 10, Benjamin Film and Photography. Number 9, Benjamin Film.
You could do that to see if it works.
Yeah,
It probably would.
Loads of leads come in. Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll do one this afternoon.
Amazing.
Right, we've ticked over to 10 to. Thank you, everybody. That was as good as I knew it would be. That was really interesting. Thank you very much for all your opinions and your input.